In today's segment, right, we're showing you the reassessment of, excuse me. All right, we're going to show you this market mindset that I developed, right? And so, this is what I did, people. Give me 1 second. Let me find my notes here. Okay. So, pay attention. I'm showing you, right? So, business strategy format annually, right? So, I broke this down into 3 parts. So, I got 100 employees each company, right? And so, both of these companies are going to produce because, again, I'm having 50 employees, right? So, in these 50 employees, right, I broke this down into 100 employees. So, with that being said, you have Profound Mindsets, you have I Motivate 87, right? So, I broke this down into a mathematical sense where I'm taking 50,000, right? 50,000, which produces 100,000, right? Then I broke down to the percentage, right? So when I break this down into a percentage, people, this is what I'm showing you, 75%. So when I broke this down into that measurement, I broke it down into 100 million and 3,300 to 33,000 times 100, which gave me the exact same answer, right? So that's the reason why I broke this down, because again, you have 50 here, right? And you have 100, right? So if you're doing the exact mathematical framework of your companies, right? You're going to find out that each company in the 50,000s, which is going to allow you to come up with 100,000, right? So then you break it down into a percentage, right? And in this percentage, I equify that to 75, right? So when I broke the math down, people, it took me a while, but actually got it into a sense of a science, right? So within both of my companies, Profound Mindsets is definitely something that's educational, right? This is educational services. I Motivate 87 is really going to be dealing with residential public, right? We're dealing with the public, right? And so the reason why I broke it down this way, people, is because I want you to see how you can market, right? You want to market your company. Because again, you can run it and you can scale it, but again, when it comes down to breaking it down, you're going to need how many employees, right? How many employees you're going to need, right? So it took me 10 minutes, right? Housekeeping. You got 20 houses a week each contract, right? Then you have drywall company, 50 houses each contract, right? That we take on, right? Landscaping company. That's 80 houses each week we take on, right? Painting services, 100 houses a week each contract, right? Then we have moving services. Moving services is going to be 200 houses a year each contract, right? And so the reason why I say 200 is because if you look in these segments of my company, right? These are the skill sets that I have developed over myself for the past 10 years. I've done this, developed these skills personally, but also through certain people I have worked for over the years, and I developed this skill, and now I broke this down into a segment, right? And so the reason why I say moving services is because you think about it, people move all the time, right? You know, people always move all the time. And so again, when people move, that's very, frequent, right? So, when we're talking about drywall, now I only did that because again, down to 50 is because if you have all these other segments of your company, you know, you never know which one of these you're gonna need more employees for, right? So this really people here is just a brief assessment of my business strategy and formally annually, right? The format of annually, right? So we have garden debris pickup. I got 100 houses each quarter of the year. Each quarter of the year. Why I say that? Because it doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, sleeting. Debris still needs to be picked up, right? Am I correct? Then we have snow plowing. 200 houses each quarter of the year, right? Each quarter of the winter, sorry. So this is basically you taking the measurements of how you're going to break this down into this assessment to reassess of what you're producing in both of your companies, right? Again, this is the market strategy of my company, right? So this is the reason why I had broke this down into that format and in that sense, because again, you're going to need mathematical principles when it comes down to your company. Am I correct, people? So here's another example of what I mean by an assessment, right? Let's break this down. Excuse me, people. All right, look. So now we're talking about the market cap. What I mean by market cap, what are we talking about? We're talking about putting both of your companies in a stock market, right? Because again, excuse me, people. You want to scale both of your companies if you're going to put it on a market, right? So let's just say, for instance, somebody wanted to invest in your company. Let's say that they wanted to see that you, as the asset, you have the value because you're adding something new to whoever's company that you are producing. Am I correct, people? So, profile mindsets, right? This is the market cap analyzed 20% to 40%. That's the value, right? That is the value that this company is producing, right? iMotivate 87 market cap analyst 50% to 60% value, right? These are the percentages, right? These are the percentages of your company. Am I correct, people? I'm just saying, I'm trying to be realistic with the whole aspect of how to reassess an assessment when we're talking about the market cap. Correct? So, let me get my marker here. Give me a second, you guys. Give me a second. Let's see what we got going on here. So let me get my marker here. All right, so let me show you guys this, right? So, profile mindsets, right? 20 to 40%, right? So we have here, this is the starter point, right? This is the starter point of your company, right? And so each year it's going to scale, right? To 40%, right? And so each time it scales, it goes up. So when it goes up, it goes down again. When it goes up again, it goes down again. Sometimes it goes up and sometimes it goes down. It just all depends on how the market is and in the stock market, correct? Give me a second. I need my markers, people. Just give me a second, people. I'm trying to find my markers here. Hold on, you guys. find my markers, people. So we're gonna continue on. With the assessment. I couldn't find the rest of my markers for some reason. Oh, here we go. So, in this aspect, people, right? In this aspect, again, 20%. Then it's going to scale. It's going to go back up again. It's going to go down. Come back up again. And it's going to go down. Most of the time, if it goes down, the stock market has gone to a loss. But again, it can scale back up again, right? So it's going to scale, right? Keep scaling. Once it scales, right, it's going to go up again, and then it's going to drop. Boom. But in this sense, 20%, this is your starter point. This is where it's going to scale, right? It's going to scale on this part. So once it scales, it has different volumes to where when it does scale, you're going to have an ending result, right? So again, this is all profound mindsets. That's what we are producing. We are producing this market cap, right? This is informational services and purposes only. Because again, this is what profound mindsets is going to do on the stock market. And that's the reason why I call it the market cap, right? Now, when we're talking about I Motivate 87, right? I Motivate 87, this is going to be another market cap, right? And so this is my company that's going to be dealing with the public, right? We're dealing with the public. We're shaking hands. We're negotiating, right? This is negotiating with people in the world. We're negotiating with our communities. We're negotiating with our neighborhoods. Am I correct, people? So, again, we're starting off with this starter point. So, I said, 50 to 60%? That's the value, right? So, here's the value, 50%. That's going to be your starter point, right? So, you got 50 to 60, right? So, in this margin, there's a gap here, right? Even though it's a gap, it still can go up, right? So, again, you can stop here, go back up again. Start here, go back up again. Start here, go back up again. Start up, go down. 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 Boom. Here, there's your ending result, right? So again, this is your ending result. So you have to start somewhere in the marketplace in order for both of your companies to scale, right? And both of your companies, they're going to have to scale to produce what they are producing, right? And so this is the reason why I came up with this analysis, because again, I wanted to see if I put both of my companies in a stock market, right? There's going to be a starter point of that, right? So in this aspect, we got a starter point. That's the starter point. Here's your ending result, right? The ending result is what? More, right? 111%. Or 110%, right? It just all depends. This is just an example, people, of how I broke this down. This is just an example. So again, we're taking this. This is your starter point. This is what you want to scale, right? You're scaling when you put it in the stock market. So again, when you scale, you're going to bring it over here, and then what? There's the end result. Because again, when it scales, it has different volumes. Again, this is what? The values. Excuse me. Values. When it goes by these lines, these are the lines of what? Volumes. These are lines of volumes, people. Values. These lines here are values of the currency of what you're putting your money to, and also what you're scaling your companies, people. Right? And so, this is what I say when it comes down to scaling both of your companies. Right? It's what it's producing. Right? And so, each company We got one dealing with educational services, and then we have one dealing with the public, right? So that's the reason why I broke these down into this sense, people, because they are all market caps, but this is also, again, the stock market, right? The stock market. That's the stock market. What you're producing and what the volumes are doing is producing, right? But again, this is all you taking both of your companies, or however many companies you have, people, right? However many companies you have, and you want them to scale, right? And this assessment, you want both of your companies to what? Scale. To produce more what? Income. Right? You want both of your companies to produce more income because again, this is educational and this is what? Residential. Because we're dealing with all residents and the public. Doesn't matter where you are, you still dealing with residential income, right? That's what this is. Again, residential. Excuse me. Residential income, right? That's what you're doing here, people. Residential income. This is what my company does. This is what this company is going to do. This company is going to produce to the public, but it's also we're dealing with residential income. This here, this is dealing with educational services, so we're dealing with the public also. But this also can be what? A residential, excuse me. Residential income, right? So again, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing here, people. Residential income. This is what we're doing. Each time we're producing a new stream of income. This is what this is. At the end of the day, people, when you put both of these companies in the stock market, right? What is your market cap, right? Between 20 to 40%, 50 to 60%. But again, what you're doing is you're scaling both companies in the stock market. It depends on how much you're producing in the stock market, and also it also depends on how much you're it also deals with how much money you are investing into this as well, right? So again, this is an investment. Investment, right? Your investments, right? What you are investing your money into, right? Same here, investments. Again, investments. That's what you're doing. In this same sense, people, you're adding value to yourself, but you're also adding residential income to yourself, to your company, to your businesses, to your organizations, to the world, to yourself, to your family, wife and kids, and everybody that's included. But again, what is this again? We're talking about value. We're talking about streams of income. This is what we're talking about. Streams of income. Streams of income. This is another stream of income, people. At the end of the day, you want to do this and you want to put both of your businesses on the stock market. Because again, it might be something else that you really want to do in this world to produce more, and each volume, right? Each volume of yourself and your company, right? Again, these lines are volumes, right? That's what they are, volumes. Volumes of lines. These lines produce volumes of money, streams of money, because again, You're putting all of your assets, right? This can be what your 401k, your 401k. I know your 401rs or some along the line of these lines, people. Even if you're setting back and you have retirement, again, you can put some of this money into the stock market. Whether if it's you as an individual, whether if it's you as a businessman or a company or an entity, again, you can merge both of these, right? You're merging both companies, right, into an asset. That's what you're doing. I'm merging both of your companies into an asset, to which what it turns into what value, streams of income. This is how you do it. And at the end of the day, I sat there and I made up this plan because it took me 10, 15 minutes, I say exactly. But I knew what I wanted to do with both of my companies because, again, it's going to produce by itself. And that's how you got to figure out when it comes to your businesses and your entities and your companies, are they going to produce? So put both of your companies to the test, right? Put both of your companies to the test because you want them to scale in the stock market, right? You want them to scale in the stock market. So if you merge both of your companies, you put them in the stock market, which is your market cap, and so you figure out, okay, if I invest my money, I can turn it into this percentage or that percentage and make it a stream of income, right? And so again, it just all depends on how much you are investing in your company. Again, this is just a brief assessment of how to reassess both of your companies, right? And I knew I wanted to do this because I also wanted to show you guys, you can do the same thing. Again, this is all the values, right? Values. Values are your lines of these streams of income, right? Volume streams of income, right? That's the value. Again, that's the value. These volumes or streams of income is the value of what you're adding to yourself as an asset. But again, if you're taking both of your companies, they're going to produce more and they're also going to be a valuable asset to the marketplace, right? Not only to the marketplace, but also to the stock market. So again, this is basically this is your starting point, however you start, and then you also have the end result. That's where it's in. Start, end. Start, end. Start, end. So again, people, this is pretty much a brief assessment of what I call the market mindset, right? This is my market mindset. And I just wanted to share with you guys today that, we all can do this, people, and we all can, produce more, right? We are an asset to the world, but also we can produce more. That's why in this aspect we're talking about scaling. Scaling, right? We're scaling. So again, I love you, God loves you, and again, just do your due diligence, people. If you see that this really intrigued you today, I want you guys to give this a like. All my followers, that's following me, if you love this content today, I want to say thank you. Again, I will be going over, some other assessments. But again, today I wanted to, reassess this assessment about the market cap of the mind, right? Because again, if you formally structure your mindset, you can come up with an idea to scale your businesses, right? So it's the moral of the story, people. And just understand that you can formally structure your mindset in a profound way, right? It's your boy Jay Wiz, man, sending love, light, and healing to all those. Yeah.